Hey, what's up, everybody? Once again, my name is DJ, doing what I do, sitting back here on a Monday, chilling. And I'm about to head out to the school. But I wanted to go ahead and put my video out early, or at least video it early because I'm always late putting out my opinion Monday videos. All right, so I was gonna call this video "How to Make Sure That Your Krav Maga School Is Legit." That was my first idea, but then I changed my mind. But I am gonna put that in this video. But this video, I'm gonna talk about 3 things that you should do before you join a Krav Maga school. 3 things you should do before you join a Krav Maga school. Okay, all right, let's get into it. All right, before I even start, if you don't do these 3 things, well, one of the things I definitely think you should do, well, actually 2 of them I think you should do. But if you don't do these 3 things before you join a Krav Maga school, it doesn't necessarily mean that your Krav Maga journey is going to be unsuccessful. You may have a great experience at your Krav Maga school, even if you don't do these 3 things. But it's I think doing these 3 things will help your journey be more satisfying, because you're gonna have a complete understanding of what you're getting into, and you're gonna know where it is that you're going. Okay, and it's important to know where you're going, or when you get there, how would you know you're there if you didn't know where you were trying to go to in the first place? All right, anyway, enough of that rant. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about the first thing you should do before joining any Krav Maga school, okay? And actually, I think this is the first thing you should do before you do anything, before you join anything, before you sign on a dotted line for any program. The first thing you should do is take a class. The first thing you should do is take a class. In other words, test the product, okay? Test the product, and I know me saying that is like, okay, that's self-explanatory, but there's some people that don't do that. Some people come in and they just kind of want to they just want to get started, and that's fine. I mean, don't get me wrong. We will sign you up if you just want to get started. Although I do encourage you guys, anybody who comes into my school, say, look, I'm encouraging you, come take a class first and see how you like it. If they're hell bent on not taking the class first, they just want to get started, that's fine. But I encourage them to take a class first. Look, it's like driving a car. Okay, if you like driving a car, you want to test drive the car before you actually buy the car. I know nowadays, people getting their cars sent to their house, and then they just sign up and they bought a new car, and they haven't even drove the car yet. To me, that's crazy. Let me tell you. Look, this happened to me. This was about, I don't know, it's about 7 years ago. I think about 7 years ago. But I at the time, I wanted a Jaguar. Okay, I was looking at the Jaguar. I think it was the Jaguar XJ, one of those Jaguars. I don't remember which one it was, but I love that Jaguar. I think it was XJS or something like that. I love that Jaguar. It was a coupe. And I was like, man, I'm going to get me one of them Jaguars. So I saved my money, and I was like, all right, I was going to buy my Jaguar. I seen them Jaguars, and I got to get me a Jaguar. So before I do anything purchase, I always do my research, and I find and I make sure that I'm getting the best bang for my buck. So I remember I drove all the way out there. I found the Jaguar I wanted. It was the right model. It was the right year. It was the right color. It was the right price. I said, all right, bet. It was out in Centerville. I drove all the way out to Centerville, to get the Jaguar. I drove all the way out there, right? I got out there got out there, me and a friend of mine rode out there. I got out there, I said, boom, they showed me the car. I said, oh, this is it. This is the car. I looked at it, it was shining. Oh man, I got in the car and so let me take it for a drive. I had already said, go ahead and write it up. We gonna get the car. I'm gonna take it for a drive. I got in the car, drove that joint and got in it, right? Started it up. Vroom! Started driving. I was like, the fuck is all that noise? Okay, little did I know that the Jaguar makes a lot of noise when you drive it. Okay, it's got that engine. It's like that racing, like. I don't like that. Okay, I like a smooth, quiet vehicle. I don't like my vehicles to make a whole lot of noise. Okay, but I didn't know that about a Jaguar. Needless to say, I never bought the Jaguar. I've never been in the Jaguar since. But had I not test drove it first, then I would have had a car that made a lot of noise. And I didn't want a car that makes a lot of noise. All right. So I know I got off subject, but my point is still the same. You want to take a class before you decide to join that school. Okay, that's the first thing you want to do is take a class before you decide to join the crew. You want to get the feel for the class, feel for the students, feel for the instructors, etc. Okay. The second thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that it's Krav Maga. All right, so this is the one now. This is the big one, really. This number 2 is the big one. Is you want to make sure that it's actually Krav Maga, and it's kind of hard to do sometimes if you've never done Krav Maga before. You ain't just because you watch some videos and it look like you don't know. I tell you one thing you can do to make sure that this is when I said is your Krav Maga school legit. Make sure that your school has a lineage back to the creator, okay? Back to Emi, the creator. Now, when I say lineage, that means that, your instructor, somebody started you learning, from, the Krav Maga ain't that old, so you ain't got to go but so far back. It's probably your instructor's instructor, but it has a lineage back to the source. Now, look, okay, let me tell you real quick, about 15 seconds, real quick about Krav Maga. Krav Maga was created by a guy named Emi, and Emi, it popularized in Israel, and it was the IDF, employed him to teach their troops, and that's how Krav Maga got its popularity, and since then it's gone all over the world. So you got to make sure that the best way to do it is find an organization. Okay, so the organizations in this country, I know there's a lot of other organizations. You have Krav Maga Worldwide, Krav Maga Global, Krav Maga Federation, and you have Krav Maga Alliance. Now, really, I don't even have to say alliance. I could just say Worldwide Federation and Global, but Alliance is there as well. The reason why I don't have to say Alliance is Alliance actually came from Krav Maga Worldwide. So if your school is part of one of those organizations or used to be part of one of those organizations, that's still a lineage, then at least that with the Krav Maga that's one way of trying to make sure it's legit. Although their instructors could have went off the left field and started doing their own thing, which is fine, but as long as it has a lineage back to the source, okay? Real quick on that, just because the guy's from Israel does not mean that it's a lineage back to the source. Because just because he's from Israel don't mean he know Krav Maga. I used to think that everybody from Israel knew Krav Maga because that was the word that went out. Everybody in Israel learns Krav Maga. That's actually not true. It's actually bullshit. And I found out that when I went to Israel, because when I went to Israel and I started meeting people and talking to them about Krav Maga, and some of them didn't even know what it was. But I would say the majority knew what it was, just like the majority of people here know what karate is. Okay, but most of them had never taken Krav Maga before. Matter of fact, I met one person that said they had it in PE when they were in school. Other than that, the only people I knew that took Krav Maga were the people at the Krav Maga training center that I trained at. Okay, so that's actually not true. Just because you from Israel don't mean you know Krav Maga. All right, that's like saying just because you from the hood means you know how to box. That's not true. Okay. So just you try to do your free research and find out if your school has a lineage back to EME, a lineage back to the original. Okay. All right. The third thing this third thing, you don't really have to do this before you sign on the dotted line, so to speak, but early on, you need to go and watch your advanced class. Go and watch your brown belt, your black belt class, because that's pretty much what you're going to become. Okay. Or that's what you're working toward. Let me tell you what happened to me. When I went to my Krav Maga school, I did two out of the three things. One thing, I took a class. All right. I didn't know nothing about EME. I didn't know nothing about lineage. I didn't know nothing about that, but I did know fighting. So when I took the class and I watched the techniques, I said, okay, yeah, that would work because I knew what would work in a fight, But a week after I joined, I think I joined on a Wednesday. Matter of fact, that weekend they was having a blue belt or a brown belt test or something like that. And I went to the test. I stayed for the whole test. I watched the whole test. It's crazy because a couple of the students that was in that test end up being my students later on because I went up and surpassed them. But anyway, shout out to Big Chris, both Big Chris, as a matter of fact. So anyway, watch their advanced tests because you want to know where it is that you're going. You don't want to just, look, seeing the level 1 stuff is not, that's just the start. Okay. That's just the basics. Okay. You want to find out, not watching the advanced class is like a boxer never went to box and never have watched a professional fight. That doesn't make sense. Or if you or an MMA fighter never watched the UFC. That doesn't make sense. So you want to watch the advanced class, if you can watch a test or something like that to find out where you want to go. All right. So those are 3 things that you do before you join any Krav Maga school. And if you're looking for a Krav Maga school, I ain't going through all that. All right. Look, hey guys, look, whatever you do and however you're going to do it, make sure you do it to the best of your ability and, do what you're going to do. All right. Cool. Peace. I'm out. Oh, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Like, comment, subscribe, because I got more. All right.